الله وبركاته. فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. Since the outburst of pandemic, we have been going through considerable hardship. And it's quite normal that at some point of time, we may feel exhausted or we may find in short of coping resources. But there is no room for disappointment for those who believe. Here is a consoling verse from the Creator. For indeed, with hardship will be ease. Indeed, with hardship will be ease. So, my dears, when you're hit by hardship, when you find yourself in difficult times, kindly don't give up. Relief is ahead. In many ways, hardship is a great opportunity for us to reflect, to realize, and to be grateful for the privileges we enjoy in our life. In every experience we encounter, there are lessons. Let us make wise use of these opportunities to succeed here and after. Peace, mercy, and blessings of Almighty be upon you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nubla, for that wonderful start. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this auspicious evening. Indeed, it's my proud privilege to be the master of ceremony of today's program. First of all, let me hope and pray that everyone here and your loved ones are safe and healthy. And let's pray deeply from our heart that let this tunnel of darkness find its light soon. On behalf of my big family, CG International and CWC, I myself, Amina Racine, welcome you all to this gathering. Before starting, let me introduce you my family. Career Guide Center for Information Guidance India, CG, is a voluntary non-government organization which focuses on the vision, the society empowered, self-sufficient, vibrant, and influential community. On the other hand, the women's wing of CG is known as CG Women Collective, CWC. It is solely with the mission to influence women on the lines learn, inspire, and empower. C-Talk or CG Talk is an initiative by CG International intended with an objective of being the gateway to become a global citizen through advanced education and strategic employment. Our first CETA session was inaugurated by Dr. Sashi Tharoor on the topic Global Citizen Career Perspective. Today, we are witnessing the third series of the CTalk session on Wellness in the New Normal World, a Women's Perspective. It is to shed light on the physical, mental, spiritual, and social well-being of a woman in the pandemic scenario. To explain more about CG and to give away the chairman's speech, I invite the most respected, the symbol, humble personality. He is based in Jeddah, IT services company entrepreneur. Decades of active involvement in the socio-political backgrounds. With much honor and happy, I invite K. Mustafa Sahib. Please, sir, the virtual screen is all yours.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all. Dear CG International Women Collective Presidents at Jeddah, Sister Anisa Baiju, and at Qatar, Mrs. Jasni Mahboob, and the battalion of sisters in the organizing committee of today's event, and my colleagues, leaders, brothers and sisters who have joined us today, and most importantly, the accomplished panel of speakers who have graced us to enlighten us in our important topic today, wellness in the new normal world, a woman perspective. As we are running a tight schedule today, we will give maximum time for the experts' deliberations on the topic. I won't take long. Most of you are either CGians or familiar to what CG and its activities are. But for those who are joining us for the first time, CG, or Center for Information and Guidance India, is an NGO based in Calicut. Started humbly out of a small room next to Calicut University some 25 years ago. Today, CG stands as the largest grassroots-based NGOs in India, providing multiple educational and career empowerment services across 14 states, 14 districts of our state, and also expanded to a number of states across India. With the presence of large Indian diaspora, CG-inspired fraternities were formed across the GCC countries, UK and USA. This was eventually brought under an umbrella called CG International. Career guidance and learning, career guidance and leadership learning development are the main activities of CG International. Combined, CG's interventions in the fields benefited more than 5 million people so far, and it's counting. Movement naturally attracted many committed and qualified volunteers, as you witnessed today. Last year, commemorating CG's Silver Jubilee celebrations, CG has launched a number of new initiatives under CG Vision 2030. It visualizes the evolution of a value-oriented, self-sufficient society with effectual leadership in all intellectual pursuits and participation in key decision-making processes around us. Today's event, known as C-Talks series, is part of that drive towards the vision. C-Talks aims to create awareness and positive action. C-Talk is part of our Vision 2030. It aims to bring about, the areas of concern that sometimes the government and other people fail to do. And the area we are taking on is limited to career, education, and transformation, social transformation, that is. As mentioned before, C-Talks 1 was about going global, which was graced with the presence of, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, as the, is widely known as global citizen. He was our keynote speaker then, and that was in December last year. Then in March, we had another talk about specifically focusing on transformational leadership and its traits and possibilities of developing it. Now we have C-Talks 3 that we have chosen to be a women-centric program, Wellness in the New Normal World, a women's perspective. Why going women-centric program now? Women in a developing country like ours is already, even before pandemic, is vulnerable in our society. And as you know, COVID-19 is not just but a profound shock to our societies and economies. With schools and offices forced themselves into our homes, probably the most affected people are women folk. So it is only fair that we take some time to discuss this issue and reflect upon its challenges and the opportunity that poses. We highlight, rather than focusing on problems, the novel opportunities that poses, especially for women folk, that will help our families adapting to the changing requirement of this difficult time. So we hope that, okay, it may not be an answer to all our questions nobody has, but at least for some of us, there will be a takeaway that you go with some of the solutions or inspirations, to act upon. In other words, women comprising 50% of world's population, you should be part of, women should be part of a solution, not problem only. We often say, educate a woman, you educate a family, you educate a nation. Like the sister in the prayer said, every hardship comes with opportunity. That's what we believe. So that's what we are going to explore today. The speakers are well acquainted in their own right, in their space to do that, hopefully. CG's Women Collectives, before I go, just a sentence, about CG's Women Collectives in Kerala is very vibrant. Kannur and Thrissur districts are very popular in doing, and touching thousands of people every month. They have so many problems. So many programs going on. And here, Doha and Jeddah are very lively. Our thanks go to CWC, CG Women Collective team, leaders, and those who work behind for pulling up all the required resources to make this event a reality. Especially Kunyi and Shabir has been big help to support from the back from the start to finish. I also believe all you will have good time in this afternoon. And as I said, you'll take back, some insights that will help you in the future days. I also invite all of you, those who are not part of CG, to join one of our groups, in our worthy pursuit. Once again, welcome you all. Once again, Assalamu alaikum and Jai Hind. Wish you all well.
Thank you for that inspiring words, sir. For the past 1 year, things happening around us are the things which we haven't imagined in our weirdest dreams. A road without vehicles, a school without students, an office with empty desks, and the list goes on. There was a time when we parents used to snatch gadgets from our kids. Whereas now, no matter they are 4 or 14, each one of them have their own gadgets, just like their textbooks. There was a time when we used to force them to go and play outside, but now we shut the door immediately when they open it. The new normal. On the other side of the coin, this pandemic made things which we thought would never happen. We always had a complaint that we don't have much time for anything. This pandemic gave most of us a good family time. We completed our studies. Even our little hobbies turned into small businesses. Why not? Even this pandemic made this possible. People from all over the globe are sitting here together, and that too by just sitting in their own home. The new normal. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the theme for today is Wellness in the New Normal World, a women's perspective. Today, our program is started into 2 parts. We'll have a keynote speech first, followed by a panel discussion. Then we'll have a question answer session, and finally, we sum it up. So without much delay, let's get into our first session of the program, that is the keynote speech. To have our keynote speech, let me invite the most vibrant, efficient, talented, the most apt personality to join with us today. None other than
designer turned social entrepreneur, loves to call herself as ecopreneur, founder of Pure Living, dedicated to finding sustainable livelihood solutions. She conceptualized Ammumathiri for women living in old age homes for livelihood and engagement with dignity. She came into limelight when she helped Chedamangalam weavers in mega floods of 2018 by introducing Chekuti dolls. She owns the global patent of plantable paper pen with seed in it. Her pandemic-related project, Co-Weeder Miniature Paper Houses, symbolizes co-sharing and coexistence at the times of lockdown. Shaya Bedrolls, her recent initiative made of tailoring scrap of PPE, got worldwide attention when United Nations made it in the list of best practices. Found Quilt India Samman, a project on converting unsold fabric of weavers to mommy kits for the newborns in war-hit zones. She is an alumnus of CMS College Kottayam and was featured in New York Fashion Week as jewelry designer. She is a governing council member of National Innovation Council India and was awarded Vanitha Woman of the Year 2020.
It was my grandma who instilled the love of creative upcycling in me, to find new value in all things. After all, solving problems is a human thing.
Yes, everyone, let's put our hands together to welcome the social entrepreneur, designer, and many much more, Lakshmi Menon. Audience, please note your questions can be asked in the chat box. It will be answered after the panel discussion. With immense happiness and proud, let me welcome Ms. Lakshmi Menon to the screen. Ma'am, the virtual screen is all yours.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that beautiful short film that you have made. I don't think there is much to be talked about my project after seeing that short film. A lot of work gone into it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for this organization, CG International, for having me here. Like you said, what a magic. We get to talk to people across the world, just by sitting at home. So good evening once again, and really a great privilege to be part of this gathering to speak about which seem to be the most crucial topic these days. When I was given this topic, wellness for the new normal, I was a bit startled since I'm not an expert to lecture on this because social entrepreneurship is my space of specialization. But on second thoughts, I realized that, how everything that we do is so connected to the status of wellness. Pretty much every social initiatives of ours is very much in sync with it. Actually, it's a cumulative result of physical, mental, and health conditions, right? And to me, among the three, I give most importance to the mental wellness. I think, in fact, the state of well-being, it's not a time-sensitive status. It is one of the most vital condition as long as one is alive. And everyone's quest for life is to find the secret for the perpetual happiness or for the perpetual, to attain the secret of perpetual wellness. So, I think happiness is just a byproduct of the wellness. So, and I think it is a condition that is so much more essential now than ever. And a time when we all need to work together, to uplift our fellow human beings and do whatever we can in our limited capacity. And when I was thinking about the wellness topic, yesterday I was just trying to churn out whatever I can, from my brain. So I was thinking, just last year I started one of my project at home, and it is very much related to this. It is called Pharmacy, Pharmacy, and that pharmacy stands for wellness. And they always used to say that, like a word play, the other pharmacy, the pharmaceutical pharmacy, stands for illness. It is an agriculture-based project, and through that we have cultivated many indigenous plants, which is normally considered as weed. But I think, that is one of the initiatives that we are doing. So it was all about the wellness factor, trying to connect people back to nature, because there's a lot of disconnect in the world now. So I was trying to kind of, through different initiatives to bring back all those values. And another project which I was doing, as you had shown in the short film, it is called Wixdom Ammumathiri, which is again, started to bring in dignity and financial independence for the abandoned ammumas, all the elderly in the old age homes. Again, through that, we were able to bring in a lot of psychological mental wellness to them, because the kind of dignity that was derived by doing such a simple task, their children who had abandoned them, they had started coming back to them, because they have the pocket money to even support the education of their grandchildren now. So they were all chucked out of their family, but now since they have started earning money, they automatically gain more value in front of their family. So that created a lot of kind of a mental wellness in that category. So that is why I was kind of trying to connect how we were all kind of trying to plug in that wellness factor in all our projects. And the next one, like you had narrated, the Chekuti dolls, which was, it is a rag doll. I hope everyone knows what a Chekuti doll is. This is a rag doll that is made from the damaged fabric. In Chendamangalam, it is a weaver's village, and during the floods in 2018, entire stock got damaged, and using that damaged fabric, we managed to make tiny little dolls like this. And initially, when we started this, our sole aim was to generate money for the viewers just by selling these. But the kind of stories that we which had been reaching us, was so fulfilling. Like, it was, they were talking about the therapeutic value, the way they use these dolls for bringing in mental peace. Again, the wellness factor comes again. There were many families who had lost everything. They kind of made around 600 to 700 Chekuti dolls. They said, to regain that sanity, this was one of the best exercise they could do. And they're all donating it for the welfare of the viewers. So again, it was touching a chord with so many people. And I realized the main reason has to be the kind of happiness that must have brought into their mind, by being in an activity like this. Then came the project Shaya. Shaya is a bedroll that we made using the tailoring scrap. Initially, we started with the fabric scrap. Then, as the COVID started spreading so far and wide, there was a lot of demand for the PPE gowns. So there was a huge quantities in which those PPE gowns were being made. So proportionately, there was so much of scrap also being generated at the tailoring houses where they were being made. So when they cut out for the neck and the sleeve and things like that, there's a lot of tailoring scraps that was generated there. And most of the people didn't have any idea as to what has to be done with it. And I'm a person who just love to work with the so-called waste, people that normally consider as waste. For me, it's always the best raw material I can think of, because I always think there is nothing called waste in this world. When God made this universe, he never intended anything to be waste. So it's only the way we look at things. So I think just because human intellect doesn't have the capacity to find a utility for certain things, they shamelessly regard something as waste. That's not the right approach, right? So whenever something is being regarded as waste, I kind of try to find a more meaning to it, add more value to it, and bring it back to the mainstream, adding value to the lives. So that is exactly what we did through the tailoring scrap of PPE. And in around 3 months, I think we used up more than 9,000 kilos and made more than 1,000 bedspread mattresses, which is donated to the COVID centers, the homeless, the tribal people, and it's still being made. And we are also offering training to more than 5 countries because it was featured in the World Economic Forum. So in order to come up with some idea, to start some enterprise, we don't need, don't need to necessarily know the rocket science or, such complicated technology. It could be real small things that can really bring in, add a lot more, that could act a lot, that could bring in a lot of magic and impact lives. And yet another project that we had started was Saman. Yeah, and regarding Shaya, I thought, a good night's sleep is a basic human right? Even if they're sleeping on the floor, on the streets, at least provide a mattress, So that is what we have achieved through Shaya, again to do with the wellness. And regarding the Samman project, we were literally tracking all the journey of COVID, like every status of its growth, sort of. So and every phase we kind of intervened, and we are trying to bring up some kind of a social initiative which could suggest some kind of a solution during that phase. So soon after, the first wave was over, when we all thought that, we are almost in the verge of normalcy. There was a lot of things that had gone topsy-turvy, like the artisan community, if you look at, they had so much of crores worth of new stock that was lying around, which were not able to sell because there was no weddings, no events, no nothing, so there was no avenue for them to actually sell any of those. So I was trying to help them, and I realized that the best way would be to help them sell the stock that they already have. So we started buying that material from them. It was through crowdsourcing. So there's so many people who have come together, and they donated the money. And with that fabric, the munda, sari, and all those things, we started making baby frocks for the newborn babies in war-hit zones like Yemen, Syria, and places like that, because they are totally kind of deprived of any clean cloth. In war-hit zones, it's not like being in a slum. Even if you have the money, you don't have the shop to go and buy this materials. So we had been doing a huge campaign around it. So that is what I was asked to kind of walk you through the projects that I'd been doing. So that is a very brief walkthrough of all that. And as a social entrepreneur, a woman, I represent, I think, like Mustafa sir rightly said, a gender who holds 50% of the population, world's population. And I wonder, when I'm termed as woman entrepreneur, I really wonder whether the men would be called as man entrepreneur or men entrepreneur. They're just called as like plain entrepreneur, right? The female writer, the pen editor, I feel it's a bit unjust and biased. And I think, since you are asking me about the women perspective, and I'm getting into that area, it might sound a bit trivia to men, but I think it does affect our mental wellness, these double standards when treated as second-class citizens. And when they ask me about the challenges, like as a woman entrepreneur, what all I face, I always tell them that I was brought up in such a manner by my family where gender had the least of the roles to play. For me, entrepreneur is a gender neutral word. And I'm so happy that, I was brought up in such a manner so that I could just leave the gender out in everything. And I could just focus on what is really important, what really matters. So because the hard work, the focus, the determination, the perseverance, etc. are the ingredients for you to become a successful entrepreneur. And none of this has gender in it. Does focus has a gender? Does hard work has gender? No, none of this has. So I think society just likes to glorify women who sacrifices for others. And it is so deeply conditioned in the mind of the society for years now. And I think we should realize the praises, the way they put up in our pedestal, it comes at a huge price for our freedom. Because they know if unleashed, once women experiences that power of ourselves, none of us are going to resort to the submissive roles which are expected of women for years together. I think it's a big trap, to keep you away from even exploring your power, your talents, and your abilities. So please don't fall for all that. I think get educated at any cost and use the education in creating wellness for you. And if you are well enough, you will be able to impact other lives. You'll have more open, you'll be more open minded, you will understand others, and you'll empathize with others. And I think, whenever I'm in India, I stay with my mom and my grandmother. And there are many instances where I had to take a call for an ambulance at the wee hours of the night to take my grandma to the hospital and things like that. And people ask, like, how do you do? Also, you managed it on your own, like just you and your amma were there. I said yes, because it's not a field that is totally new to me. I'm exposed to many kind of fields, so I know what has to be, what should be the conversation when you call up somebody in a hospital, when you have to call an ambulance. My brother would have just did the same thing. Just, I was so lucky that I was given enough exposure and freedom to interact with people and to move around and to have my kind of do volunteering work in whichever field I want to. So all this really helped me in managing my life much better. And if ever the car breaks down, I just take an auto and go to the next workshop and get a mechanic and come back. And people will be like frowning, really, you did that? I said, yeah. What is the big deal in it? My father would have done the same thing. My brother would have done the same thing. And whenever this has happened, my father had always participated me also in those actions. So I know how it's being done. So it's not any, again, rocket science or anything. It's just things that if you are not familiar with it, you will be astonished and you'll be kind of scared to do that. So familiarize with fields in all sorts of affairs. Try to volunteer wherever you can, because that's the best way to really invest your time in and learn so many things at somebody else's expense. And that is a process through which you would really know what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, and things like that. So I really urge every woman in this group to kind of be out there. Don't give it up, just be out there. You have no idea about the capacity, the mental power. We are not vulnerable. That is how people would want us to be, but we are not, and that is why they are not letting us unleash our power. So and I think, bluntly speaking, for me, if you are asking about the women perspective for the new normal would be when the women are free to travel alone anywhere at any time of the day without the fear of groping, raping, kidnapping. That's a new normal that I have dreamt of. I think pandemic and its restrictions are for all genders, but lifelong restrictions that are imposed on women just by the other gender or self-imposed, that is what I'm scared of. That is what really worries me. That's what I'm really furious of. And I think the pandemic, it is at least not biased. It treats everyone equal. I think it's more kind to humankind, than humans itself. And for the same reason, I don't fear the pandemic as much as a society who put me in shackles my entire life because I was just born as a girl. That factor alone took so much of privileges out of me. And I sincerely wish that the new generation, at least the new generation, don't succumb to these primitive thoughts and the practices, and not wait for anybody to grant you freedom. You are already born with that gift. Every human being is equally born with that gift of freedom. So don't wait for somebody to grant and you don't have to go and earn it. It's already there with you. And a simple thing, something I would like to show you is, when you look at wellness, it starts with WE, right? You replace it with I, it becomes illness. I don't know whether you can see this. If you replace that V with I becomes illness. When you put that V in it, it becomes wellness. So when we think of we, it's all about sharing, caring, lifting each other up. It becomes wellness. But if it's I, we are selfish, self-oriented, and that is going to be the end of everything. So let's work together on this. Let's lift each other up. Let's kind of, wherever we get a chance, just see how we can encourage each other, give an opportunity to the underprivileged. So let that be the mood, of the coming years. And I'm sure that, there's going to be a huge change, sea change that is happening around in the women's life. And maybe after the pandemic, many of our dreams are going to be really true. It is gonna come for real. That a very empowered, happy, contented a women population is going to emerge out of after this pandemic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that very powerful and inspiring words. Definitely, I would like to repeat the word I said in the intro. You were the most apt person for this keynote speech. Thank you so much. And all the projects that you did from your heart and your love was definitely spread to us even through your words. It was definitely a heart-to-heart conversation. Thank you so much. And I would love everyone to give a big round of applause for our own Miss Lakshmi Menon.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I can see all the audience are with very graceful and smiling faces, and I'd love to capture this moment. Actually, I request Nabila, can we please have a photo session? Everyone, please on your videos, please. Let's have a photo session in this happiest moment. Everyone, please, can you on your videos, please? I see very beautiful and smiling faces over there. I'd like to see more faces. Can everyone please on your videos? Nabila, are we ready?
Yeah. I'm taking the photos.
Okay. Once again, everyone, please have a wide smile.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Nabila.
That's
Once
it.
again, thank you, ma'am. And thanks everyone for that wonderful photo. So, dear brothers and sisters, buckle your seat. The most interesting session of today has arrived. It is the panel discussion. The panel discussion, the main goal of this online panel discussion is to identify the challenges and opportunities of new normal, to engage into dialogue and find potential and opinion of our panelists and clarify participants' concern for better results in the future. To lead the session, may I invite the most energetic JCWC coordinator and TED CLP champion, Reshma Bashir. Reshma, a hearty welcome to you, and the virtual screen is all yours.
Thank you so much, Hamina, for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and a pleasant evening to you all. Let us take off the panel discussion, the much awaited session. A hearty welcome to each one of you present here. It's amazing to have this event on a virtual platform like this. Let me take the privilege to invite our first inspiring panelist of the evening.
Hanan Hashim, founder and CEO of Hekin, a post-quantum safe security startup. Born in Calicut, Kerala, a former decision architect at Industry Intelligence and also a member of the Center for Foundational Study, PPISR, Bangalore. At age 14, she stepped out of high school to start pursuing her research career on absolute theory of zero. She received accolades from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and was also a delegate from India in the Global Entrepreneurship Summit in 2015, hosted by former US President Barack Obama. She worked on content cryptographic protocols for 2.5 years. Her invention, Quantum ATM, won her national recognition and was acknowledged by the Ministry of Information Science and Technology as well as Intel as a very innovative project. She had worked as COO at Takbees Labs and was backed by Startup Chile and FinTech Valley Vizag. In 2018, she founded Hikeen and is supported by Reliance GeoGenX in the Google Launchpad for Developers and Luminate New York, which is the world's largest startup accelerator for optics and photonics.
Nearly 1 million people die every year from counterfeit drugs. Hekeen provides the most user-friendly anti-counterfeiting solution to meet the engineering challenges of tomorrow. Our systems can tag wide variety of products and can be used by both manufacturers and investigators.
Heartfelt welcome, Ms. Hanan Hashim, to the event. Your presence is a great honor for us.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Welcome, ma'am, welcome. Now, let me take this opportunity to invite another skilled and respectable panelist.
Dr. Khadija Ziana, dentist with special interest in special care dentistry. She did BDS and worked at Dental Health Center, Mangalore. In 2003, she did her membership in Faculty of Dental Surgery at Royal College of Surgeons, England, and worked at University Dental Hospital, Cardiff. To pursue her interest in special care dentistry, she worked for 10 years in Community Dental Services, Swansea Bay Health Board. She was also Senior Dental Officer in the NHS England. Most of her work was concerned with the oral health of adults and children who were severely affected by learning difficulties, physical disability, psychiatric or complex medical issues. She had also provided oral care to refugees, asylum seekers, and homeless patients. Dr. Ziana is also part of CAMP, an association of UK-based Muslim professionals from Kerala, and EXL UK, which is the education wing of CAMP. CAMP is a non-sectarian, non-political and socially inclusive group which gives utmost value in acquiring and imparting knowledge. She had led and organized CAMP career programs and have also actively involved in charity programs. Currently, she is part of the Scientific Planning Committee for Weill Cornell Medicine Qatar CPD activity.
Hi, I'm Ziana. I'm a dentist and mother of 2 boys. These are difficult times. Women are finding that their roles have become even more challenging. I am very pleased that organizations like CG have recognized this and are attempting to provide some sort of support to the women in the society.
A warm welcome to Dr. Khadija Ziana to this event. We are truly delighted to have you with us.
Thank you, Reshma. I'm very pleased to be here too.
Welcome, ma'am. Welcome so much. Now, I also welcome our keynote speaker, Mrs. Lakshmi Menon, to the panel to make this event even more interesting. So we have 3 dignified panelists with us today. We thank each one of you for joining C Talk Series 3, Wellness in the New Normal World, a Women's Perspective. Open discussion always helps to figure out better solutions. So without any further delay, let's move ahead. Madam Hanan, would like to hear from you first. You have been involved in the quantum technology and have been working for Hekeen for past many years. When pandemic strikes in November 2019, what immediate changes you had to implement in your work pattern?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I hope you're all keeping safe during these strange times. To set the context, at Hekeen is a security startup, and we help detect and eliminate counterfeit products using optical imaging and quantum randomness. So I still recall at that time, back in November 2019, it was a very crucial phase for my work. I mean, when the pandemic actually struck in. This was a time when the company raised the first round of investment. I was based out of in Bangalore, had to incorporate this new entity in US, finish the due diligence process of that investment, and also move back to New York. So I really had to make quick decisions based on the legal challenges that we had for the investment, for moving out and all that. And one thing that really helped me was with the SWOT analysis. So SWOT is nothing but it's the strengths, analyzing the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So in our case, most of the immediate decisions were made through this analysis. So this technique is actually based on a Stanford University study from the 1960s, which actually analyzed 500 top Fortune companies. So I would encourage, it's worth taking the time to think about each step rather than hastily filling out this SWOT analysis. Like, how can we, as an individual or a business entity, emphasize our strengths and compensate for our weaknesses? And how can we maximize the opportunities? And especially with the rise of the pandemic during that time, and we were in New York, we also need to know how we can protect ourselves from the challenging threats, right? So what is actually interesting about this part is its versatility. And we use the SWOT analysis for both our personal and our business decisions with equal success. And alhamdulillah, we completed the prototype in just a matter of 6 months, in which we had actually preponed the development of this project before moving back to India.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for that. Next to Ziana, ma'am, your comments, please. Doctor, a blessed profession with an interest in special care dentistry is even blissful. Did the creeping in of pandemic actually neglect or cause hindrance in the smooth treatment of special care individuals or the non-COVID patients worldwide?
Thank you for the question, Reshma, and I'm very pleased to be here, part of the panel. With regards to your question about the hindrance with treatment given to special care dentistry, special care patients, even pre-pandemic, it is very challenging to give treatment to special care patients. There is a wide variety of patients under that umbrella, and it is extremely challenging. So yes, the pandemic has made it very much harder for them to access the care they need. Special care dentistry deals with making a patient clinician contact, extended time of appointment in the clinic, which both are contraindicated during COVID times, because COVID pandemic rules are so different. It is mainly depending on social distancing and wearing lots of PPE, which makes it very apersonal to the patient. The patient can't see the clinician's face, so they are more worried. So yes, there has been a hindrance, there has been difficulty to access treatment, but the dental profession on the whole is working towards finding a solution. With regards to non-COVID general population, when the pandemic was declared in March 10th of 2020 by WHO, there was panic across the world. Nobody knew what the virus was about, how it spreads. There was very little information. So a lot of countries and a lot of dental governing bodies had to close and stop treatment altogether. But 15 months down the line, there's been a lot of changes. There has been opening up of consultation, video consultation, and also to a certain, level, we have been able to offer face-to-face treatment for the regular patients as well. So yes, in a way, it has prevented good treatment. There has been an increased use of antibiotics, and we as dental professionals, we feel we are not able to do our best yet. Inshallah, we will soon.
Inshallah. And thanks to the technology, at least we have teleconsultation and video consultation in our favor. Thank you, ma'am. Next, Lakshmi, ma'am, from your experience, how easy or how difficult was it to manage your entrepreneurial activities before the pandemic, and how does it work now?
Pandemic has taught us so much, right? It brought such a paradigm shift to to everything. Like, just imagine how it also accelerated the future, like the online classes, teleconferences like this, which we never could have imagined. It would have taken easily another decade to make this happen. So in case those are some of the good takeaways of COVID. In our organization, we also immediately shifted our areas of operations to address the issues that were pertaining during those days, that was relevant, in every stage, by providing solutions like the COVID and the Shaya and several other projects that we're doing in our own limited capacity. So in the restricted framework, we realigned ourselves and got back on track pretty easy, and got into many more social projects. I think in short, we adapted pretty quickly to the new normal. There's a group of women that is working in my unit, all from the neighborhood. I'm from a rural area. So they are also like, I'm the kind of the speed in which they also adapted to the new environment. The entire process were different, but by God's grace, everything was working very well.
Nice, nice. Adaptability is the main solution, and how quick you make it, earlier the better, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you so much. Next, let's go a little health-wise. An important factor of being healthy and happy individual is a disciplined routine and healthy habits. Hence, during this pandemic, where we require uncompromised hygiene, what are the few checklists that most of the people definitely need to work on? Dr. Ziana ma'am, could you please comment on this?
Okay, so firstly, I would like to say being happy and healthy is a challenge even in normal times. It's something that we always have to work towards. It's not a destination, it's a journey. But in the pandemic situation, we have been given a lot of advice in how to stay healthy. So I would say the general message out there, the government has given out and the medical professionals, that is basics like hand hygiene, wearing masks, social distancing, and taking the vaccine if available. So this is very specific to staying healthy during the pandemic. But overall, when I say healthy and happy, the thing I can think of is wellness. And when you think of wellness, wellness is not just an absence of disease. Wellness is being socially, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, good. So for that, I would say we all need to adopt certain changes in our life, and most of us probably are already adopting it. But I feel, out of my experience, having a holistic view to life, like Lakshmi ma'am just said, holistic view, giving to the environment, giving to the society that you live in, giving to people who are not as blessed as you are. It doesn't have to be in big projects. It can be small steps, whatever you can do. Giving back to the environment and to the society is a very holistic way of achieving wellness. If you think about work-life balance, trying to maintain a work-life balance. And when I say work-life balance, it's not about a working woman who goes out of the house and works. It involves all women, because let's be honest, all of us work. And most of us do a lot of unpaid caring work and unpaid jobs around in our lives. So that is work. So you need to find a balance between yourself, finding joy doing things that you like, and work, whether it's paid or unpaid. So that balance is very important. And what I think is also helpful for wellness is taking self-responsibility. When you say self-responsibility, is analyzing your own behavior and the consequences your behavior can bring in your life. So getting yourself to be a better person. And ultimately, being positive, proactive, and joining, like, for example, I joined a book club at the start of this pandemic, and that is organized by CAMP, which is our UK-based charity and education, group. So that gave me an outlet to connect to women that I normally wouldn't have, but this pandemic gave me an opportunity to do that. Join some spiritual clubs. So I'm sure a lot of people are bringing out their what they like joining book clubs, baking clubs, gardening clubs, or even joining clubs, associations to help others who are not, as well off as us or as safe as us in these times. So overall, wellness would be focusing on all aspects and trying to do our best and trying to stay safe in these difficult times. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you so much on that, ma'am. Next, on a social perspective, Lakshmi ma'am, would like to hear from you. Human activities weren't friendly enough with the nature for the past many years. And we do experience their resentment in various forms. But smart minds like you did recognize it early and initiated various healing solutions. What actually triggered you to come up with such innovative and frugal designs?
I don't think we are that early. We are already too late. So that's why we had to kind of jump in, and take necessary actions in our own limited capacity. I think the simple realization of that most truth that, nature doesn't need people, it's people who need nature. So whatever we do with the water and the air and everything, it finally comes back to me. It's like karma. So everything, if you are being good to nature, it's good for you. Nature will evolve. Nature doesn't care what we do with it because it is so huge. So it was there forever. We are just like a tiny little creature that nature doesn't even knows exist, right? But we cannot live without nature. So I think man has actually passed through ice age, stone age, metal age to finally reach garbage. We are in the garbage age now, and pretty much very soon and almost on the verge of damage. And if we don't take a U-turn, we are going to collapse forever. So these urgencies prompted me to take action and do my best in my humble efforts. That is how we came up with that pen made of paper, which has a seed in it. So if you throw it away, it will grow into a tree. So we are extending the life of that paper that is already made by cutting down the trees, by giving back a tree to the nature again. So these were the simple frugal innovations that we had brought in. And I think, frugal innovation is so important during this age of austerity, where resource constraint should not be considered as a lack of growth, but as a growth opportunity. That is the most sustainable way to go ahead. So it's time for us to really rework on all these things. Otherwise, we are doomed forever. We're already in garbage, so it's just the damage that is awaiting us. So we have no other go than do this.
Very true. We are already too late. If we do good to the nature, we are doing good to ourselves. So let's focus
don't
on
try
that.
to save nature. Nature doesn't care. It's about saving ourselves,
Exactly.
So just keep that in mind. Only people need nature. Nature doesn't need people.
Exactly. They don't need us. So let's be careful from now on, at least.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Next. Now about the present crisis to Madam Hanan. We have always been told, leave your work at work and let not it follow your home. But now our homes have transformed into the classrooms and workspaces. How can we actually strike a balance between the work and the home?
Sure. So the transition to working from home, right? I mean, due to this lockdown comes with its own set of challenges, right? Especially with the second surge of COVID cases in India and other developing nations. So what we could do is that I would encourage you to plan and organize the day-to-day activities. And personally, I create a flexibility in how I schedule my day in order to accomplish that work and the family commitments, but also create a space for my personal hobbies so that I can be the best person I can be at work and at home. So it's like I do these make use of these organization tools like Trello, the Notion, to do my day-to-day activities. In that way, I clearly know where is that fine line, that I have to separate between these two tasks.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Lakshmi, ma'am, may I ask you something from your life experience? Women are entrusted with enormous responsibilities in life. So how well can she financially contribute towards her family to change the present circumstance, be it anyone, elderly or differently abled, or anyone?
Again, I consider responsibility as a gender neutral term. I don't want to, kind of assign any gender to that. So, and it's applicable to all. Let me see how I am handling the responsibility. I had decided myself to make my life very simple, yet more impactful in my own terms and definition. I tried to unplug the gender quotient in me wherever possible. When I got married, I didn't buy any new piece of jewelry. I wore one of my mom's old jewelry, wore a set saree, And I drove the car myself to the venue, which was kind of too much for people to take, and invited maybe around 100 people. And when I asked my fiance, he also pretty much did the same thing. The thing is that he didn't have to wear a necklace. He also bought just one set of clothes. So I think while we are growing up, normally girls imagine of the wedding gowns that they're going to wear and things like that. I don't think it's never a guy would be thinking of what he's going to wear for the wedding, right? So there is a lot of differences, social conditioning that is happening then and right there. And this was an example which I wanted to show the society that having a daughter is not a burden. So I wanted to show it in my own case. I was not actually asking anybody else to do that. I was just having my life as an example, and I had learned to prioritize things that matters to me, and I just follow that. And I don't want to. I don't have that herd mentality, so that also helps. And when it came to financial contributions, since both of us were qualified, we were working up in our careers, we contributed equally. I was brought up to see regular yet tasks which are normally considered as not girly, like changing the tires of the cars, taking the car to the service centers. If you have to do any complaints, go to the police station and file a case and things like that. So I was brought up being comfortable doing all these things. So the responsibility attached with, and while I was brought up, when I asked for a car, my dad was very clear that if I have to drive the car, you have to take the car for servicing, you have to do everything that is attached with the car. Clear. I mean, anything that happens is your responsibility. If you hit somewhere, you have to manage it. So with every luxury came some kind of a responsibility also, which was attached with it. So every time it wasn't gifted, every time it was earned, so it really taught us the value. And the exact same task for me and my brother was given. So I think, once you take the gender out, things are quite easier. I'm a beneficiary, I'm a living example, hence I'm blatantly advocating about it. So because of these double standards, we have to work twice as much to go at least half as far as any guy would have to take. So this responsibility in lives, everything, I really wonder if you will be asking the same question to a guy if he was in this panel. So let us try to remove that women aspect in such factors at least.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Responsibility is actually earned, right? Okay.
Yeah. It's same for everyone, so
yeah,
and everybody's trying to do their bit as well.
Exactly. It counts, everything counts.
Yes.
Okay, so next let me move on to Madam Hanan. We require a professional advice from you. Since you provide various solutions related to cybersecurity using quantum technology, what precautionary measures do you suggest that can be taken in our daily life that would help each one of us viewing this now?
Sure. So first of all, I wanted to give an overview about this, right? I mean, because we have all used, the emails, the credit cards, you have your Aadhaar card, and most of you I'm pretty sure you'll all have this social media accounts as well. So encryption is the fundamental piece of our information security today, right? I mean, it's how the email, your ATM, your bank, your Aadhaar card, your pictures, your Facebook, everything stays safe. And this encryption is based out of this random number generation. Now, let me just walk you through a layman explanation. You can imagine your most precious item, right? It could be anything. It's a digital or a physical asset, and we put it in a safe box. You have the key, and this encryption part is the lock. And with the current technology, right, it's pretty easy to copy that key and steal that information, because today's locks actually depend on these weak random numbers that are generated by an underlying algorithm, which is a mystery equation. And if you figure, like if a hacker or a third party figures out this mystery equation, they get access to the lock, right? So look for any major hacking event that are taken place, the banking, the retail, the Snowden or the WikiLeaks or any kind of threats, right? This creates a huge problem for all the stakeholders. And even the credit card fraud is also very common. Now, coming to the tips that I wanted to give you is like, please don't reuse any passwords on any important accounts. So that way, if the password list from a company A is stolen, the hackers cannot use that list to get into your account at company B. And I would also encourage you to use the two-factor authentication there, right? I mean, especially if you're using something like on the Gmail or Zoho Mail, it's like adding that additional layer of security. And that's very much important right now. And moving on to that, I would also say, like, I mean, if you could also like choose platforms that particularly makes use of end-to-end encryption, right? If there is any iPhone, I'm sure like most of you would also be using this iCloud these days, right? I mean, where you store all the data, your pictures, it can all be stolen. I'm telling you this because if they are in a database that has no keys or just one master key, all of your personal data has a much likelihood of being accessed and maybe even shared publicly. And I would also encourage you not to give up your data to every site that asks you to accept the cookies, right? I mean, we see that oftentimes. Please don't do that. I mean, it's very important for you to keep all that access, I mean, to read through that, the disclaimers, and only allow where it should be like allowed. I hope some of the tips would be useful. And if there is one key takeaway here, please make sure you use the two-factor authentication to protect all your accounts and keep your data storage very safe by keeping it somewhere in a hard drive, like encrypting that data in a hard drive. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, for the ease of remembering the password, we give the same password for everything.
Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I mean, just like, trust me, I was also part of like, I mean, I also recently, I mean, I had a couple of these weak passwords and I got reminded these days, I mean, you know, where I had to change it. Like it was like 6, 7 passwords, which I've reused. And then I realized that should not be the case now. I mean, since we have all these shopping sites and, you know, whatnot, right? So I just encrypted all that data and yeah, kept it safe now.
And about accepting cookies, just now I did accepted all the cookies because I was in a hurry and I just wanted to get
be very careful. Yes. Yeah, because
normally
go through that, right? I mean,
normally I'm careful, but sometimes it doesn't go away, right? It's right on the back or on the center of the
some of the sites do still give you provide an access where you can decline that immediately. So
okay, I'll be more careful. I knew that it was not somewhere, something was not right there, but you know,
correct.
Didn't really think about it. Okay, good. Thanks for those points.
Yeah, thanks for that information. Thank you so much. Yeah, sure. Next, Ziana ma'am, something from your personal life aspect. We can see you beautifully juggle between dentistry, social service, career programs, household, family life, personal relationship, physical health, and many more. In what ways can this ticking of time be organized and managed?
Thank you, Reshma. You've been very, very kind with your words. So thank you for that. But what comes to mind for me is the metaphor of a swan who on the outside looks like it's gliding very gracefully on the surface of the water. But if you look under the water, it's really paddling very hard to move forward. So I'm sure that's the case with all of us women who have to juggle multiple roles in our lives. I would give a lot of credit to my upbringing with my parents, always encouraged independent thinking. And I was given a lot of freedom to do a lot, you know, pursue a lot of my, whatever I liked. And I had the privilege of bringing up my family in 3 countries. So that is India to start with, then I moved to the UK, where I've lived for 15, 16 years, and also bringing up a little bit older family in Qatar. I will mainly focus on my, you know, what I did in the UK because that's where I lived the longest. I think one of the main things is when you move from a country with multiple support group around you, like your family, like in India, you can call anybody for help anytime. You move your family to a new country, a new city, a new job. In the UK, where you know nobody, it is difficult, but you just have to do what you have to do. It's like saying necessity is the mother of invention. You just go along with it. Having a partner, my husband, who was very, you know, he just lets me have not lets me, it's like a shared partnership. So I have autonomous decision-making abilities. So that made my life very, very easy. I could pick and choose what I wanted to do. Very early on, I spoke to my employer. This is how I managed. I'm not saying everybody should do this, but this is how I managed. Very early on, I set my priorities and spoke to my employer that my family is very important. I have very young children at home. So they were very flexible. And this is the beauty of working in a country which respects working mothers. So they were very flexible. They let me enjoy all the special moments of my children's lives. So be it sports day, be it, whatever day they had in school, or even if they wanted me to, I was able to drop and pick them from school, all that. So that is a wonderful thing, which I would love to see replicated in, the Middle East and India, giving mothers, children are young for very, very short period of time. They grow up so quickly. So I was very, very lucky to be in a society that let me have these opportunities. After setting priorities, and then my partner and I, my husband and I, we always involved our children in our day-to-day activities. We discussed our work day and our, so then they felt more involved, which is what I would think would help lot of families. Involving children in your decision making and day-to-day activities will make them feel more responsible, and they feel like they just become more responsible and do their part. So you're not picking up after them so much. Having a backup plan with friends who could help me if I was in trouble, making time for myself, and then being able to do a lot of holistic things. Part of my wellness was taking part in charitable work through camp, because we are a group of people who've been able to do so much for ourselves. So we realized we have to give back to the community in India, and being a part of such a wonderful organization had given me so much of mental well-being. So it's a bit of everything. I'm just very lucky to have had these opportunities. I'm sure there are more people who have done more than me, but I'm just a result of taking life as it is and trying to make the most as I can. So yeah, that's probably how I have got to this stage. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's nice to hear. That's really nice to hear. Okay, next, we would like to hear from all three of you on a common concern. So Lakshmi ma'am, your comments on psychological wellness of women in the new normal world.
I think I've pretty much touched upon all those topics and all those points already. It's mainly, grab the opportunity, don't give up, and don't ever lose your self-respect or dignity. In order to understand what it is, I think you have to be educated and you have to be independent and try to be financially independent at the earliest. The kind of boldness and the perspective change that comes with it, even the way the society looks at you, it's all different. So try to be independent, get out of your comfort zones. There's a whole new beautiful world out there. So just break free and step out. And remember that life is only a reflection of what you let yourself to see. So, do that, travel, volunteer. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, Diana ma'am, your comments on the same, psychological wellness of women in the new normal world.
So yeah, I've touched upon wellness, and to say that this 2020 and 2021 was difficult for all of us is an understatement. We've all seen, millions of us have seen bereavements, illnesses, loss of jobs, loss of, income. So it has been a very, very difficult year for most of us. I would say to, like how Lakshmi ma'am said, embrace the changes, get involved wherever you can with social engagements. That makes you feel better. That brings a little element of feeling better. Working from home, kids being at home, not being able to see family. Like for us, we're not able to meet our family very often because of travel restrictions. It all takes a toll. So I would say, inculcate whatever you can into your life, spirituality, meditation, prayer, lifestyle changes, connect to your family and friends over phone, Zoom calls, and make the most of the family that you're stuck in the house. That is what I would say. And it's sometimes it's okay not to be okay. And it's also okay to ask for help. So I would say that is my takeaway. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. And finally, Hanan ma'am, your comments on how important do you consider the mental well-being of women in the new normal world?
I think this is incredibly important. And for that, I would also suggest that, if you can write in a journal daily to get your thoughts and worries out of your head, to help you clarify your values and definition of what success actually means for yourself. It's more like a reflection. And then you can also use some daily stress reduction and relaxation techniques like, mindfulness, which is on rise right now, meditation, yoga, and also keeping a daily gratitude journal. Trust me, it makes a world of difference. And I would also encourage you to seek therapy, which I know, most of us actually shy away from that, right? But these are all tough times, and we can all empathize with each other about these tough times. Like, it's really important, if you're facing something or if you're dealing with any kind of traumas, I would encourage you to seek professional consultation and deal with those past traumas or the ones that you're encountering right now, perfectionism issues, and also learn new tools and strategies for handling your emotions and communications better.
Yes, we need to get more serious on it, right?
Right, absolutely.
Right, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So thank you all. With this, we shall subside the discussion and move forward for the interactive question and answer session. And for this, I invite Mrs. Aisha Wazna to take over. Over to you, Wazna.
Thank you, Reshma, for that invite. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now open for the question answer session. I request everyone to make use of the chat option and hand raise button. It would be highly appreciated if the question is mentioned along with the panelist that's been referred to. Thank you. All right, we have the first question here. Madam Hanan, the question is being directed to you. All these years, you have paved a unique way of your own and experienced an incredible journey. Does the current academic atmosphere give this exposure to our students? What changes can be made on a longer vision?
Right. So, idu parayanengile 10 varsham munne I was in my 10th grade, okay? And I had to make a life-changing decision when my teacher called me to the staff room and she asked me this important question. I was working on this research project. It was more like a high school science fair project. And she gave me two options. And this was a decision that I had to make at the age of 15, right? Where the academic competition is fierce and brutal to the detriment of a student's mental health and development. So I had two options where I can just go to the path, which we usually take, where I have to complete my 10th grade, my 12th, and continue with my education, like the college, or maybe slightly a path which is less taken, right? To carve my own education, like it's more like a self-directed learning. So I took a gap year there, and trust me, it opened me to a world of new possibilities. So I was part of this culture that studied more, played less, and learned only to realize that I didn't actually develop the skills to activate the most fundamental trajectory of education, which is to turn the information to knowledge and the knowledge into wisdom. So when someone questions what path I've taken to become a CEO of this product security startup, which is a deep tech startup, everyone actually expects me to have some form of a PhD or a postdoc. And trust me, the part of the accelerator which I was actually a part of, most of the CEOs have that, but I don't have that degree, right? And mostly people are skeptical about this. We are skeptical about pursuing an unconventional path of education. But let me tell you this, learning is nothing but an art, which is not confined to any subject. And there is nothing wrong in pursuing an alternate form of education. And you don't need to even go to a physicist to actually learn physics. Even a classical music teacher or a Kathakali artist can be helpful in your learning your physics, to be an example of applying correct methods and applying the mind and talent. So we can link learning thermodynamics with Yeshudas or learning mathematics with Sachin Tendulkar. I'm not joking. Like, you got to be thinking beyond those constraints due to the conventional frameworks that we have set in. And I believe like the academic atmosphere that we have right now should actually bring a bridge between the curriculum and creativity. And we should also explore ways to actually express or work on area of passion for self-education and thinking about like spreading this across more widely. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Hanan, for that informative words. It really did, I think, inspire a few of the students in our audience. We have the next question that has come up. It's been asked to Ziana ma'am. And the question is, in the near future, doctors widely utilize technology like phone consultation, video consultation, and other consultations. But what future can you foresee in dentistry which totally rely on procedure-based treatment?
That's a very good question, Azna. So dentistry, like every other profession, has been profoundly impacted by this pandemic. It's not different from other professions. You can look around. Like you said, it's a very procedure-based profession. It's a very intimate profession. So yes, it's taken a hit. We right now, like I mentioned, for the general population, depending on the country you are in, depending on the governing body of the dentist, there have been facilitation of phone, video, and online consultations. This is not spread around the world equally because every country has its own problems. The pandemic has come in waves. So when it started, some countries didn't have the problem with the pandemic and some did. So it's all happening not simultaneously. It all depends on which country you live in and what the infection rate and vaccine uptake, numbers are. But the whole aim of the dental body is to provide face-to-face treatment to patients that need it. So that's the way we can give them the best opportunity. With the use of phone or video, there's been some positives as well. A lot of people have been able to take second opinions, including clinicians. Patients haven't had to leave their houses and come into a clinical environment, so they have stayed safe from the pandemic. So there's been positive factors there as well. Going forward, clinics will change the way it operates. You might see even non-clinical staff in PPE, like a receptionist. I can imagine waiting rooms not being packed with patients to reduce transmission. And, there might be new instruments needed for air filtration inside clinics being used. But healthcare, including dentistry, every time there's been a challenge, it's not just come back to normal, it's come back better. If you look back at 1980, when HIV first made its impact on the world, I wasn't working then, but I have met people who were working then. You wouldn't believe that dentists didn't use gloves or masks routinely. They didn't use it when they saw patients. But when HIV came, the same fear that we see today of the virus, of how it spreads, what the disease is, what the treatment is, was rampant. And everybody went into this panic mode, and then they had to improve clinical skills, and the use of gloves and masks compulsorily was introduced then. And that's how, the system evolves and gets better. So I think it will come back better, not just back to normal, but better.
Thank you, ma'am, for that interesting answer. Lakshmi, ma'am, we have the next question to you. Ma'am, new normal to new future, how do you foresee your upcoming market? Will online shopping truly affect your market?
Yeah, of course. I think innovation would be the ideal way to go to take it forward, because there is always demand for innovation. When you look at the market survey and things like that, you can see that there's been astonishing growth in online business all over, anywhere, because the shops were closed, and that's the only way people could actually do anything. Like even in the food market, you can see that jump on all that. So yes, absolutely, and don't shy away from technology. That is the way forward.
All right, ma'am. Thank you. All right, I think it's time to take a few questions from the audience. I can see a few hands raised. Ms. Najana, can you please unmute yourself? And you're free to ask the question.
Thank you. I'm Nijana from Qatar. My question is to Ms. Lakshmi Menon. Hello, ma'am. In the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. How does present scenario help small business? And is employee well-being easy to achieve?
I think in China, when they write the word crisis, they mark it with two straws. In one, they explain that even in when you see the danger in a crisis, do not miss the opportunity that comes with it. So I think crisis makes unthinkable inevitable. Just like how we are conducting this event online. So there's a lot of opportunity that is hiding behind it or along with it. And I think in order for an enterprise or in the employment scenario, study the situation closely, understand the behavior patterns of the people, especially the changes and the new demands that has come along with it. Become a solution provider and not just delivering a product, because people doesn't actually look for a product; they're looking for solutions for their problems. So if the moment you make something of that sort, it's a sure hit. And uh, the current scenario has brought in a lot of new demands also, so just grab it, be a forerunner, get the head start and be the change agent. And knowledge of technology and updating your skills regularly would be a real a boost to kind of really become successful even during these adverse times. um, and I think, yeah, that's it. And try to innovate wherever possible, because innovation never goes out of style. And make sure that your employees are also happy. Take good care of them so that they'll always be kind of loyal and committed to you, even when you are in kind of in a downhill. So these are the things that has to be considered while always actually, but especially during these days. Be in touch with what is happening around. That will really help you come out with new innovations and solutions and ideas.
All right, thank you, Najana. Thank you, ma'am. I think we have Mr. Ashfaq here. Can you please unmute yourself? Mr. Ashfaq, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes, you may please ask the question.
Thank you for your security tips. That's really helpful. Actually, you touched based on how we could manage work from home, and my question is basically, do you think a virtual workplace will be the future?
Well, I would say like, we could more go for a hybrid workspace rather than completely opting for a virtual workspace, right? Because it's something like, if you just like take an account of like, the pharmaceutical industry or anything that is related to the hardware or construction, you cannot have the entire workforce to work online, right? So it's more like an reimagining a hybrid workspace to help us collaborate effectively across many work environments. So this could be like, where we can test like private workspaces or new multiple offices and working with teams to actually develop advanced video technology. And all of this will actually help us provide a greater flexibility and choice once we are able to return to our workspace, right? So this virtual workspace needs a little bit of training just as much as those in the office. And it has its own set of challenges, I would say. With technology and e-learning, you can build those skills easily on a virtual level. And by knowing your workforce and what truly drive them, and one challenge which I easily see is like, the issue of trust. You can actually build that more effectively. And it's even more important for you to build that in a virtual work environment. So I would say an approach of hybrid workspace actually is far more important here in this case.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashfaq. Thank you, Hanan. Mrs. Jessie Zubair, you may please take the next chance.
Yes, thanks for giving the chance. My query is to Dr. Ziana, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Women at the front line tackling pandemic experience an unprecedented rise in the workload, health risk, and challenges of work-life balance. Could you please counsel or advocate what shall be done to stabilize this pressure?
Thank you, Jessie, for the question. I would say it's a $1 million question. I wish we can have an answer for that. If you look up at how many women are working in the front line, it's around 60 to 80% of the frontline workers in the pandemic are women. Women make the most numbers when it comes to nursing, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to cashiers, when it comes to people in the shops, teachers. Let's not forget teachers, and of course the healthcare industry with dentists, doctors, physiotherapists, and all the rest of it. But can you believe it's around 70% of us are women, and the panels that make COVID-19 reforms are only made of up to 20% of women. So we are greatly misrepresented or very not represented rightly where the policies are made. So at this point in time, if you want to manage the pressure, I feel it's a personal responsibility. It's up to you how you manage it. Till the world wakes up, the society wakes up, and the government wakes up to give us the support we need. Like I said earlier, every government is different. So if you live in a country which provides social help, like the UK, you are lucky. You can work, you can ask for part-time jobs, you can ask for reduced hours if in case you're not able to manage. It doesn't apply just to women. I know men who have taken a backseat to help their family in this pandemic. So it shouldn't be a male and female problem, but having said that, majority of the frontline workers are in the pandemic are women, I think we need more support. And if I had the answer, I would have been very happy to share it. But at this point in time, I think it's a personal responsibility, asking for help, asking for support, and hopefully we'll get it. And looking after ourselves, which is very important. We have to look after ourselves when we are looking after others. So it's not the complete answer, but the best point in time.
Anyway, thanks a lot for suggesting this idea. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And we have someone joined us from the UK. Dr. Yas, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Oh, hi there. It's Dr. Riaz here, and this is on behalf of CAMP and Excel UK, an excellent program. A great work from all the panelists and all the organizers. Now, my question is to Hanan. Hanan, it's quite impressive that you have made this far, and I'm not saying that from a lady's perspective, women's perspective. I'm just saying that from a general perspective, as a young person. Now we've seen, the change in paradigm, the paradigm shift in the world with the most successful prime ministers being women. And we've seen that change, that people are the women are leading all the some of the institutions, especially in the United Kingdom. We can see a big change. Now, in terms of CEOs of big companies, like you being a perfect example, where do you see this going ahead in about 10 years? Now, I can see, when you talk about gender equality, I think Ziana touched on this, talking about the role of men looking after children. Now we have a system called paternity leave in United Kingdom when you're having children, it's being shared and divided. So as a CEO of a company, how do you see this going forward in terms of gender equality, in terms of the rights you give to women in the workspace, and how do you see more CEOs coming in the next 10 years from now from women? Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Well, very interesting question, I would say. I mean, because I've actually been keeping an eye on this space for quite long, as I can remember. So when I made that shift, this was like around in 2010, I told my professor, like I took a gap year and then I actually got affiliated as a project student at an institute, at a research institute. The first thing which I wanted to say is that I still wanted to ensure like that I have developed that expertise in this field, right, before forming my companies. So I had to actually wait for another decade to actually start my company, had to ensure like the entire R&D work is done. And it was incredibly difficult for me without like this academic background, right? I mean, without that degree to actually raise that venture capital investment. And especially like, I can talk from my point where I'm finding it really, most of the women entrepreneurs are actually finding it very difficult to raise their first round of capital. And the only way that we can see that closing that gap is like by encouraging more women-backed VC investment firms to come, right? We need more venture capitalists who are women, and we need to actually support more women-led businesses. And it's even worse in the deep tech space. I would say like 4% of the venture capital funding actually goes to the women-led startups, right? So interestingly, since it's a deep tech startup, it's going to get even more difficult. So I had to actually wait until I found this perfect opportunity, like to get a lead investor from my space. And trust me, it took me 10 years to actually reach that phase, right? So I actually know the incredible challenges I faced on this way. And I think going forward, what I would say is like, if we find mechanisms or means to support more women entrepreneurs, like setting up more women-based, it could be like more centered to invest in more women-led businesses. That would be the way to go. And the only way that we can actually come forward and do this is by raising successful women entrepreneurs. And they have to actually be in place and have to be a role model. And that's exactly what I wanted to do with this business. And ethics also plays a very important role, right? If you talk about the CEOs, I don't know how many of you actually know about the case of Theranos, right? A women CEO, like she took the business from the scratch to $7 billion valuation startup, right? And she was actually praised all over, like by the Time magazine and all these companies, I mean, all the Fortune 500 magazines and, where not, like. So what I would say is that in those cases, she had actually, portrayed herself as a role model for many other women entrepreneurs. But over time, her life story actually changed when a whistleblower exposed her story. That was a complete fraud. And we are looking up for people like that, right? It's a very rare sight for a women entrepreneur to actually take from zero to like a $7 billion valuation startup. So it's also discouraging to see such examples being highlighted. But I would say encouraging ethics in entrepreneurship and having more women actually come towards this would be the first way to actually go about. And I would also encourage women to be open, like to learn more about the deep tech, right? That would be very interesting to see if we can have more women in deep tech spaces as well. I hope that answers actually some part, because I don't see much of a change right now in the venture capital industry for women, but hoping that that landscape would change when we promote more women entrepreneurs in this space.
Thank you, Dr. Riaz. Thank you, Hanan. Since we are running out of time and considering the number of questions received, our apologies. This would be our last question. Lakshmi ma'am, the question is being directed to you. Is there any collective formed so that women can get some entrepreneurial product design ideas on your behalf?
Yeah, you could always reach me on my, you can check out my website, thepureliving.in. The contact details are given there. I'm ready at any time, any mentoring or anything, any guidance that you would like to get from me, always there. Thepureliving.in.
Yeah, can you post it in the chat box, madam?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thing is, okay, let me see, because I'm using my phone and I'm not really sure how to go to the chat box. Can somebody type it for me?
Yes, we'll type it. Can you please repeat, ma'am?
I got it.
Yeah, it's clear. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, with this, we have come to an end for the informative question answer session. I take this opportunity to thank the panelists and all the audience for their active participation. Thank you, one and all. Back to you, Reshma.
Thank you, Wisna. Thank you so much for that. That was very much informative and really interactive session. And that was a lot of information and a lot about the new normal perspectives. So now, in a flash, just few things to take away. Let us wrap up. It would be great to summarize our discussion today with some takeaway points by our speakers for our audience. So Lakshmi ma'am, your key points on the topic, please.
I think I already briefed it. Again, do not lose your self-respect. Be a solution provider. Always try to be part of the solution and not the problem. And whenever you're in doubt, remember that if you cannot do great things, you still can do small things in a great way. And God, he never asks for your ability, he only asks for your availability. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Next, Madam Hanan, can we hear from you?
Sure, I just quickly wanted to cover a few points. Like I told about this SWOT analysis, it's extremely powerful for us to develop. Like if you're good at thinking with that long-term horizon and operating with the urgency of like a 5 to 10 day horizon, right? I mean, like we obsess so much about having the larger than life vision and putting across a 10-year plan. But trust me, this pandemic has taught us to operate with an urgency of a 5 to 10 day horizon. And it's powerful if we can do both. And increasing the workspace flexibility and the workspace benefits will be the norm for the next couple of years before we can go back to normal. And I encourage you all to think beyond the constraints due to the conventional education framework. And it's also interesting if you can actually establish a morning routine, which you can be consistent with, right? And the very next thing which I wanted to talk about is about the mood disorders as we as women face, right? I mean, and trust me, most of this can be healed if you take good care of your gut. And gut is your second brain. So I would encourage you to actually go through this, like the mind-gut connection, really understand about the topic and how this actually impacts your mood, your daily course, right? So take good care of your gut health. It is the beginning point of treatment for most of our stress-related issues. And finally, reach out to connect with others whom you would like to get to know better and ask about their experience. Never shy about that, trust me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really effective. Thank you so much, Hanan. Next, Ziana ma'am, we would love to hear your key points as well.
Well, I don't want to be repeating the same thing because most of what I would have said is what my lovely panelists have already mentioned. I would just like to reiterate that wellness is a journey. It's an active process. You don't have to be well every day. Look after your mental health. This picture says it all. You can be a superwoman on one day and on other days, it's okay not to be okay. So be kind on yourself, be kind on your mental health, ask for help if you need, and you don't always have to be on top of everything. So that would be my takeaway, because mental health illness is a taboo. It's a stigma in some of the societies, and women don't seem to get the help they need. So we have to look after each other. We have to look after people we know are struggling. So if you need help, ask for it. So my takeaway is okay not to be okay. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, ma'am. So let's conclude. Flexibility in workspace is to stay for next few years. Utilize opportunities to uplift one another. Get out of your comfort zone and think beyond constraints. Establish a productive morning routine and take good care of your gut health. And it's okay not to be okay. Women should care for herself for an overall well-being. And overall, let's change the illness to wellness. So thank you all for this active participation in our panel discussion. We really do appreciate your interest in this very important issue. Thanks for coming and joining us and making this event a grand success. Back to you, MC Amina.
Thank you so much, everyone, including the speakers, Reshma, Wazna, and especially the audience. Thank you so much for making it such an interactive and interesting sessions. I think my words are less. The chat box itself says how interesting the session was. Thank you so much, everyone. Actually, what I thought was that we at the new gen era or the tech savvy generation. But then when I got to know from Lakshmi ma'am, we are the garbage. That was a very new piece of information for me, as well as we got to know about the cyber crimes and the two-factor authentication. And we got to know some other points in the health sectors regarding how the masks, the gloves, everything was made compulsory. Many, much more bits of new informations and very helpful informations. Thank you so much, our panel, for giving us a wonderful panel discussion today. Thank you so much. So as a token of love, we would like to present a certificate of recognition to our beloved speakers. To present the certificate to our first panelist, Ms. Lakshmi Menon, I invite the CIGI International Chairman, Mustafa Sahib. Please, sir, and I invite you, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
Hello, CIGI International presents this certificate of appreciation to Ms. Lakshmi Menon in recognition of her sharing her valuable insights on the topic wellness in the new normal world, a woman's perspective, in the webinar held on 21st May 2021, signed by myself, the chairman, and my colleague, the chief coordinator, Ruknuddin Abdullah. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sigit.
So much. Next, to present the certificate of recognition to our second panelist, Ms. Hanan Hashim, I invite JCWC Chief Coordinator, Mrs. Anisa Baiju. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Amina. Center for Information and Guidance India presents this certificate of appreciation to Ms. Hanan Hashim in recognition for sharing her valuable insights on the topic wellness in the new normal world, a woman perspective, in the webinar held on 21st May 2021, signed by our CIGI International Chairman, Mustafa KM, and our Chief Coordinator, CIGI International, Ruknuddin Abdullah.
Thank you, ma'am. To present our next certificate to our third panelist, Dr. Khadija Ziana, I invite Qatar V Chief Coordinator, Mrs. Jency Mehboob. The screen is yours, ma'am.
Jency, please unmute.
Thank you. Center for Information and Guidance India presents this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Khadija Ziana in recognition for sharing her valuable insights on the topic wellness in the normal world, women's perspective, in the webinar held on 21st May 2021. Mr. Mustafa Kiyam, CIGI International Chairman, Ruknuddin Abdullah, Chief Coordinator, CIGI International. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Jency.
Thank you.
Saying goodbye is always a harder thing on me, but time is really running away. It's time to wind up. Thank you, everyone. It was definitely a wonderful session, and it's been a pleasure being with you all today. We'd also love to acknowledge Ms. Lakshmi Menon, Hanan Hashim, and Dr. Khadija Ziana, our esteemed speakers who took their time out of their busy schedule and showered us with their pearls of wisdom, experience, and knowledge. Thank you so much. And definitely, I would like to thank all the audience gathered here, even after a Friday, maybe after a heavy lunch or a biryani or whatever, it's your regular nap time or a weekend outing time, whatever. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us and hope that it was worth for you. We wish for your cooperation in future also. I would also like to thank the CT family and the CWC for this program and the opportunity and the trust that you all gave me. Thank you so much. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all my CG Women Collective, Qatar and Jeddah ExCom members and the two chief coordinators, Mrs. Anisa and Mrs. Jency, for all the help and support. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to show the people behind the screen. The people that you're seeing here are the pillars of this show. Their hard work and their patience and their sleepless nights made this event definitely a success. All the credit goes to you, my entire team. Mohammad Kuni RP, Anisa Baiju, Jency Mehboob, Sajna Suleiman, Nabila Abu Bakr, Shahnaz Nabil, Tarsina Riaz, Jasina Mujib, Nikita Muhammad, Tafsina Ashfaq, Binsi Rashid, Ruby Samir, Majida Kevi, Munna Qasim, and Rasha Nisi. Thank you so much, everyone. So let's wind up our show for today and hope to see you all next time. And I wish you all a very good day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Your suggestions and your feedbacks are always